Hey, what is going on guys? How are you guys doing? So today we're checking out a pretty risky piece. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to make this video. This is a brand new Final Fantasy VII Remake 1/4 scale statue of Aerith on the Hardy Daytona, made by Creation Studio. And yeah, as you guys can see, it's a super lewd piece. I'm not even sure if this video is going to be taken down, if it's going to be removed from YouTube. I really don't know. But you know, I'm just going to be as safe as possible and try not to make it too risky, so I won't be able to show any of the cast off. But yeah, anyhow guys, let's go ahead and take a look, so yeah, bear with me. Okay, so the initial release date is going to be sometime around the 3rd quarter of 2021, and the arrival date is going to be around the 4th quarter. So I assume this piece is probably going to come out around probably November. I think it's going to be quite a while before we see this piece, and I'm sure there's probably going to be many changes. So here's the statue itself. I've got to say, it is a very nice piece. I mean, I don't need to state the obvious, but it is a very sexualized statue. I mean, these Final Fantasy VII statues are just getting more and more lewd, which I'm not sure is a good thing. Because I mean, if statues like this just keep coming out, I mean, it's gonna create a bad name. And we're gonna get a lot more statues like this, which in my opinion, I'm just not a fan of. I mean, these statues aren't true to the character. It's not a nice representation of who they are. And if somebody comes along who doesn't know what Final Fantasy VII is, and they see the statue for the first time, then they're probably gonna think what on earth this type of game is. So yeah, I just don't usually like to promote these type of statues. But I know some of you guys will want to see this, so you know, I just thought I would make a quick preview, in case any of you guys out there want to check it out. I don't know, that's just my opinion, and what about you guys? What do you think of all these super lewd Final Fantasy statues? Do you guys like it? Do you dislike it? Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? So I mean, the bike, I mean, it looks great. I love the Hardy Daytona. It's such a nice design for a motorbike. It's a great redesign of the classic bike. I really can't decide whether I like the Daytona or the Fenrir better. I just love both bikes so much. Which bike do you guys prefer? Now, one thing I like about the statue is the base. It's very unusual, it's very different from what we've seen. I haven't seen a base quite like this for any of these 1/4 scale statues. As you can see, it's a very long base, and it's also pretty flat. Usually these bases would be pretty high, they'd be pretty propped up, but if this base is just super flat, so I think the statue is going to be super low down, and I don't think it's going to fit in scale nicely with the other 1/4 scale statues that we've had. So that is just something to keep in mind. Although I do quite like the base, I think it's a pretty cool design. I like the grass, like all this kind of rock texture. And I think I can even see some water in there. It's just a pretty cool looking base, but I wouldn't want this type of base on all the statues. Here we have a super epic shot, behind all this mist. I mean, just look at the bike, it's just really nicely done, so nicely sculpted. It looks super smooth, and yeah, I just love what they've done here. I think the head sculpt is quite good. I mean, as before, it doesn't have the best likeness, but I think for what it is, they have done a pretty decent job. And as you can see, she's wearing this outfit, like this pink dress, which I think is pretty much the exact same dress that she wears in the game, just without the red jacket. But I just don't remember the dress piece being so low. So yeah, as I mentioned, it's a very lewd piece. She's also holding the flower in her hand, which I think is a nice touch. It just adds a bit extra to the statue, which I kinda like. So here we have a 3D render of the face. And of course, as you guys know, the final product usually looks super different from the 3D renders. So yeah, it's a nice photo, but I'm not gonna go by these promos. Here we have a nice close-up of the face. I mean, the face is very stylized. It almost looks a bit animated, which you know is a pretty cool interpretation of the character. I mean, the stylized statues are nice, but I would just rather have a normal head sculpt of Aerith. So here we have an in-hand photo of the statue itself. I think the head sculpt looks pretty good here. I like the paint job, I like the sculpting. As you can see, her eyes are painted a bright green, and her lips are painted red. And I love how crisp and clean the sculpting is around the hairpiece. And here we have an in-hand photo of the bike. Once again, such a nice piece. It looks absolutely massive. I mean, it just looks huge. I can't even begin to imagine how big this thing is going to take up on your shelf, or in your cabinet, wherever you want to display it. But yeah, it's definitely going to take up a significant amount of space. So just keep that in mind before you decide to purchase the statue. I mean, this thing looks about 2 feet in length. It's just a massive, massive piece. But yeah, just check out all those paint jobs, all the detailing. It just looks so much more detailed compared to the Player Sky Hardy Daytona. Which I mean, I thought was already pretty detailed. But when I seen this piece, I mean, you can just see the step up. It's just on a completely different level compared to the Player Sky. So I think the back is just way too bent. I just don't know how it's possible to bend in like this. That's one other problem which I had with the statue. it just doesn't look natural. And you know, it just doesn't look normal, which they've sacrificed the sculpt of the statue over how lewd it is. Overall, it's a pretty nice piece, but I just wouldn't think of picking this up at all. Let me know what you guys think of the statue, and be sure to ring that bell notification for a lot more Final Fantasy VII updates. I hope you guys have a great day, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Alright, take it easy guys.